Hello, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Briefing. Donald J. Trump was sworn in as United States President on Friday, and the reactions are severely split. All across the United States and the world, both praise, protests, and riots broke out as the 45th president began his work for the next 4 years. Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Netanyahu and Israeli Ambassador to the U.S. Ron Dermer, congratulated President Trump and extended their hands to what they hope will be a supposed turnaround in American-Israeli foreign relations. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Dani Danon, said, quote, "A true friend of Israel will enter the White House today. Thank you, President Trump, for your unequivocal support. We look forward to welcoming you to our capital of Jerusalem," end quote. In contrast to the well-wishers, however, several of Israel's analysts support being cautious in related to Trump's promises and connections, such as his alleged ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin and moving the embassy to Jerusalem. Hundreds of thousands of people marched in protest to Donald Trump as president over the weekend, and the protests were joined by movements all over the world. Hundreds gathered outside the United States Embassy in Tel Aviv in solidarity with women's rights protests across the states, bearing placards and chants against Trump's policies regarding gender rights, contraception, and abortion. Similar to the protests seen in other women's rights marches, protesters could be seen wearing knitted pink pussy hats, and support for marches has come from all over. In addition to several rallies across the United States, women's rights protests were held in Tel Aviv, London, Paris, Sydney, and Prague. IDF Chief of Staff Staff Eisenkot was discharged from Beilinson Hospital in Petah Tikva last night, after undergoing surgery on Thursday to remove a cancerous growth from his prostate. The Chief of Staff thanked the hospital, the medical staff, and Professor Jack Baniel, who performed the operation, for their devoted care. Eisenkot is expected to rest at home for the next few days, and Deputy Chief of Staff Yair Golan was given full powers by the government ministers to fill in Eisenkot's absence. Last week, Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman decided to extend Eisenkot's term by another year, so that his term will be 4 years total in length. Lieberman said in a statement that the decision was reached together with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and that it will be brought to the cabinet for approval in 10 days' time. Law enforcement officials from some 20 countries convened in the Netherlands earlier this month to discuss how to tackle the global fraud being perpetrated by binary options firms, most of which are located in or connected to Israel. This, according to the Times of Israel. The summit 2 weeks ago included officials and investigators from most European countries, as well as the FBI, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Canadian Securities Administrators. The meeting was hosted by Europol, the EU's law enforcement agency whose purpose is, quote, to assist the 28 EU member states in their fight against serious international crime and terrorism, end quote. Fraudulent binary options firms lure their victims into making what they believe will be profitable short-term investments. But employing a variety of scams, the firms ensure that in almost all the cases, their clients wind up losing all or almost all of their money. Thousands of Palestinians staged a protest rally in northern Israel yesterday to protest last week's home demolition in 2 Arab communities and the shooting death by police of a Bedouin man whose car hit and killed an officer during a protest in one of the towns on Wednesday. Protesters carried signs calling Public Security Minister Gilad Erdan a criminal and briefly blocked Highway 65 near the town of Arara in the Wadi Ara region. Israeli Arabs from across Israel joined in the protest, including MKs from the Joint Arab List. 7 protesters suffered minor injuries when police used stun grenades to disperse the hundreds of protesters blocking the highway intersection. A photographer and a Magen David Adom paramedic were also injured by sponge bullets. Meanwhile, Channel 10 News reported on Friday that initial autopsy results found that the Bedouin man, Yaqub Abu Al-Kiyan, was shot in the chest and the right knee, possibly before his car accelerated into the group of police officers. That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.